Mr. Lucki. Lucki himself is a trap rap artist, a cloud rapper, a cloudy rapper, as you guys are probably familiar with that term, that genre already. If you are aware of an artist such as Lucki, he is back again with a new album here. The album itself is called Wake Up Lucki. It is with a producer, I believe, named Filthy, who has brought a different side of production here for this kind of album. For Lucki, I don't think we've heard it similar before, but we've not really heard this as much in his other work that he's probably most famous for, I would say. Free Wave 3 was his breakout release, I think. Definitely the first exposure I had to him, mostly through David Rowe, who has another channel himself. You should check it out if you never have. He's a good reviewer, doesn't upload much, but he definitely should upload more than he does. But yeah, he absolutely gushed over Free Wave 3 when it came out. And I checked it out. Didn't end up being a favourite of mine, to be fair, but I'm glad the exposure was out there for that project for me to then go back to some of his other mixtapes and albums and realise that actually, yeah, I do really dig this guy, which proceeded to force me into putting Watch My Back on my favourite mixtapes of the 2010s list, because I just had to. It's so fucking good. And this new project here, this new album here, mixtape, whatever word you want to throw at it, is probably one of my favourites since Watch My Back, to be honest. I actually really dig this album. I think the glossy, really synth-heavy production is incredibly earwormy at points. I think it really lingers in your mind. The instrumentals are just really well put together, to the point where even reviewing it today, I almost feel like, you know, in a month's time, this could grow on me even further. It just feels like one of those projects. It's got this addictive factor to it that I remember getting so quickly and so rapidly from Watch My Back, which, like I say, is my favourite project from Lucki. And anything that brings me back to those days is a good thing. The Druggie opener is something we've expected from him, to be fair. This isn't anything new, but it does kind of like, you know, introduce you to Lucki's world almost immediately. It feels very psychedelic, feels very hazy. It's not quite, you know, traveling in the direction of some of these other tracks, but I think it's a nice familiar beginning to this album here. It's exactly what you'd expect from the man Lucki himself. But I think Neptune versus Industry is really the biggest taster of what you're going to get through the rest of this project. By the way, it's like 26 minutes, so if you haven't heard it already, you've got to spare half an hour at some point. I mean, less than half an hour at some point to just check this one out, because it is really short and breezes by. But yeah, the catchy as hell melody and hook on Neptune versus Industry, I think, is great. It reminds me at points as well of something like Lil Uzi Vert, which I know is a big you know, praise for a lot of people. I know Uzi is absolutely adored amongst this kind of style of music fan base, I guess you could call it. But I'm not the biggest fan of Uzi, to be honest, anyway, so that kind of comparison is pretty good praise from me for someone that doesn't really like Uzi. But yeah, this track just really works and immediately sets the tone for the rest of the album, because you've got Still Miss Ya, which again just has really catchy flows all over the place on this one. I know it's a pretty basic way to describe it, but I think once you get in the mind of what Lucki's trying to do, and once you get to grips with what he's doing as well, I think you would just immediately start to understand that actually his flows and the way he switches things up are just really catchy on the ear. The instrumental is really good for me on this one, because it reminds me of something Pierre Bourne would do, particularly on the most recent Pierre Bourne album, which is a huge contender for album of the year, in my opinion, for me, based on how much love I have for that thing. So anything that reminds me of that is once again quite good praise. I think lyrically it's not really much of a standout, to be fair. There are the odd funny lines that pop out though. The main one for me was on Busy Day, where he keeps repeating it and he says, sorry I missed your call today, still look pretty from far away. And he says it in just such like a bouncy kind of way, like the way he flows over the beat while he says that line just really adds to it, in my opinion. Just emphasizes the sort of like weird little daft humor he sort of throws into the track there. But a track like Needed, which has a diverse selection of flows, you have a buffet a selection, a variety of flows on this track that he's throwing out there. And the repetition of "I said it because it's true" on the chorus is just so ridiculously catchy. Like, it doesn't necessarily matter that the lyrics or the theme or the meaning behind what he's saying has that much deepness to it, because it doesn't, but it just gets stuck in your head so easily. I enjoy his weird, slurred, laid back delivery on a track like UGK as well. Oh, Jesus Christ, excuse me. It flows so well with the instrumental. They're actually kind of like opposite ends of what they're supposed to be. I feel like the way his delivery works with the really like up-tempo catchy instrumental kind of feels like it shouldn't work, but it ends up working really well. But 2019 though, fucking hell, this beat, this instrumental, my friends, is ear candy. This is probably the best instrumental on the whole thing. Oh my god, it is so sweet. It sounds so good. Yeah, there's just lots to praise about this album. I mean, at times I feel like he is repeating similar flows. I know it is only 26 minutes, so it's not necessarily a huge negative to say, because you're going to get very similar sounding tracks in such a short runtime, particularly in this style. Not necessarily in any other album that is of this runtime, but I think with the style that Lucki is playing with, I do think you're going to probably run into similar sounding moments across the album. But it's not a huge negative, really. I mean, I think the outro track, it does feel like he's kind of like doing this running on sentence thing, where like everything just kind of seems to kind of like run on past each other, and it doesn't really connect to any kind of particular flow. I don't know. I think it's only in the first verse where it feels like that, but it did sound a bit off to me. And like I say, the general gist of the album, you do get pretty quickly on. So, you know, you do feel like at points he's repeating ideas, but it still is a really fun listen. I think at the moment I'm happy to go with a 7 out of 10. Like I say, in a month I could be going back to this and just having a great time with it, and I will continue to have a great time with it regardless anyway, to be fair, because it is just so melodically pleasing. And yeah, one of his best albums I think so far. So yeah, definitely a big praise from me. Definitely worth checking out. If you've never listened to any of his previous stuff, you should give it a go and let me know what you think. Thank you for watching as always. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what I should review next. We are approaching the big list season. I'm already underway. I did one list. Well, I did 2 lists technically already, so more lists are coming. Yes, we are excited. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Goodbye.